Hello, children. Welcome back to our next set of videos. We are getting into geometry. We are starting out strong with all things geometric. And today, we're going to go right to the beginning, the building blocks, the very basic foundation of geometry. We're going to talk about some things that all geometric shapes and figures are all made out of. Now, getting into it, we're going to have some definitions today. We've got 6 different words to define, and that's going to kind of be our day today. So, let's start off with some of ours today. Today we have point, line, plane, ray, line segment, and congruent. All right, those are the 6 words we have for you today. Let's break each of these down. A point. This is an exact location, usually represented by a dot, but has no size at all. So point is an exact location. It's somewhere very specific in the world or in life, or for us, it's going to be on our planes. But it is usually represented by a dot, but in reality, it has no value to it. So if I had a point, it would look something like that, and we would name this point A. And so that's the way we write a point, is by putting it like this and calling it point A. Now, a line, this is a straight path that has no thickness and extends forever in both directions. Line is a straight path, no thickness, and extends forever in both directions. We draw it with a little bit of thickness because we need to see where our line's going. We draw our line, straight line, going off forever in both directions, and it goes through 2 points. If these points happen to be called N and O, we would name this letter, or we would name this line, line no or line on. So we name it by the points that make up this line. So since this line has the points N and O in it, this line is passing through those 2 points, we're going to call it line NO or line ON. We know it's a line because what we draw on top has the line with the arrows going in both directions. That's how we know it's a line. All right, a plane. Not an airplane, but a plane is a flat surface with no thickness and extending forever in all directions. So, plane is whatever. This whiteboard is a plane. It's a flat surface. It extends forever. I can zoom out. I can move it forever and ever and ever and ever. Oh, I might have lost where we were working at. But I can move it forever and ever and ever. It is not changing. It's a plane. This whiteboard is a plane because it has no thickness. It extends forever in all directions. And it's flat. It's not a 3-dimensional thing. A plane is a 2-dimensional thing. So that's how we know it's a plane. So if I had a plane that looked like, I don't know, just say it looked something like this. And within this plane, we had a point here and a point here and a point here, and we called these points, I don't know, we'll call these points Z, O, and E. We would call this plane Z, O, E. This plane is just called, you just name it after 3 points. Doesn't matter what order they're in, just 3 points on that plane, and that names our plane. So the plane is just called by 3 points that exist within it. As long as those points aren't on a straight line, use any points you want that exist on a plane. All right, a ray was my neighbor, but not anymore. But a ray is a part of a line, has one end point, and extends forever in the opposite direction. Part of a line has one endpoint and extends forever in the opposite direction. So I would say a ray looks something like this here. This would be my ray, and we could call this ray S and T. Those are the 2 points that make up the ray. And the way we name this ray by calling it ray ST. This is ray ST. Ray, we know it's ray because the symbol we draw on top of our letters looks like a ray, and it's named in a specific order. So this one actually does matter. The end point here, wherever it's not extending, wherever it's stopped, that's the first letter in our ray. That tells us, all right, we know it starts at point S, and it's going to go through point T forever and ever and ever and ever. So when you name your ray, make sure you name it with the end point first. All right, we've got a couple more here. We'll go with line segment. A line segment is a part of the line, has 2 endpoints. So, well, again, we'll go, all right, this ray, or this line segment might be endpoint, it's connected in the middle. We'll call this C and D. We would say this is line segment CD. Again, I know it's a line segment because I drew a line segment on top of my letters. Okay, this one, just like line, the order doesn't matter because it has 2 endpoints. Doesn't matter which one is which. So just call it by either CD or DC. Either of those are going to be great. All right. Finally, we're not going to talk about this one for a little bit, but congruent. Things that are congruent have the same shape and size. Congruent things look exactly the same. They have the same shape, same size. And we're going to talk more about that in a little bit. Right now, let's focus on these first 5 up here. So, let's say I had a figure that existed, and it looked like, let's give it here, a plane. We're going to do this highlighter as a plane just to say, hey, look how wonderful we all are. I don't know why it says that, but it does today. Oh, that's what I needed. A little bit bigger, color it in. Okay, here's our plane, and it looks real pretty. All right, and on this plane, we have some values. We're going to go there's a line, and there's another line. Got a point here. Do a different color for points. Got a point, 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 and point. Now we'll call this, what do we want to call this? We'll call this point C, point A, point L, point E, and point B. We will call this point C, point A, point L, point E, and point B. Now, if I were to say, all right, give me 3 points. Name 3 points for me from this figure. Well, you could say, oh, well, point C is a point, or A, or L, or B, or E. All of those are points that exist, right? Those points all exist in our figure. So we could use any of those. Or if I were to say, all right, write me 2 lines. 2 lines. Well, you could say, okay, well, there's a line that goes through, A and B, that's a line. Or there's a line that goes through C and L, that's a line. We also don't have to use the 2 points at the very end here. We don't have to use these 2 points. We could say I have a line that goes through C and E. It goes through both these 2 points. This line extends through these 2 points forever and ever and ever, right? So I could say CE as well. So there's lots of lines that are made up in this figure. All right, if I were to say, name this plane for me, what would we call this plane? We would call it plane what? Well, it can be plane whatever you want as long as the 3 points aren't in a straight line. So you can do basically anything except for A, E, B, or C, E, L. Don't do those 2 planes. Those aren't the ones we want. We want any plane where the points are not in a straight line. All right. Okay, what if I still had this figure and I said, all right, figure. That didn't do everything I wanted it to do. Let's say I want to raise. Well, I could have a ray from E to A, or a ray from C to E, or a ray from B to A. I can have any rays, anywhere where I'm starting at one point and going forever and ever in a different direction. All of those can be rays. Could I have ray LB? Would that be a ray? That would not be a ray because there is no line connecting L and B where it extends forever in the other direction. So not a ray. Don't do this. That's bad. All right. So that's rays, lines, line segments. They all work the same. Okay, so let me draw another figure here and see what you can make of it. Let's go with, okay, we'll say we've got a line going this way and a line going this way and one of these. All right, let's name some points here. We'll call this Q, R, S, and T. All right, Q, R, S, and T. Name me 2 line segments. Give me 2 line segments. Okay, there's lots of them you could choose from. You could choose from line segment QR, line segment RT, line segment ST, line segment RS, line segment QT. All of those would be line segments. All of those would be good. So choose the one you like and roll with it, you know? All right. Now, back to our final vocab word that we didn't talk about yet. Congruent. Congruent means having the same shape and size. Okay, so if I have, I don't know why it's so jumpy today. If I have a triangle, I know this side is 20, this side is 20, and this side is 12, I would say that my two 20 lines are congruent. They have the same measure. They're both lines. They're both the same measure of 20. We would count this as congruent lines. And now the way we know they're congruent, the way we can mark that they're congruent, so we can put a little tick mark on these lines. And so lines that have the same number of ticks are congruent to each other. These two lines both have 1 tick. They are congruent. Okay, so that's how you use ticks to know about congruency. If ticks are given to you, then you know they are congruent. If I have a shape that looks like this here, okay, and I said, all right, I've got tick, tick, I've got these tick marks, and I know that I have on this lovely house figure, I have the points, I don't know, what points do I want to have? We'll do K, E, N, D, R. We'll have those points, K, E, N, D, R. And so we can say, oh, well, if I want to list 2 congruent line segments, right, if each of these are actually points, if I were to draw them as actual points here. All right, 2 congruent line segments. I'll say, well, line segment KE and line segment KR, these are congruent. Those 2 are congruent. All right, give me 2 other congruent line segments. Give me 2 other congruent line segments that exist on this plane. Write them as like 1 line segment, comma, another line segment, and then actually just select the ones that are congruent. Select the 2, there will be 2 correct answers of congruent line segments. So choose the ones that are both congruent, and we will be good. All right, that is our lesson. That is our building blocks of geometry. We've got points, lines, planes, rays, line segments, congruency, all the things, and we will talk more about these aspects of geometry as we continue going through. All right, have a wonderful day, children. I'll see you all tomorrow.